What up? We're back. I'm here with my boy Mason. Hit me up, man.
What up?
Back to another episode. It's our first episode.
It's our first episode. Welcome.
Welcome.
What are we doing here, even?
So, Mason, I brought you in here today because I know you are a guy who is very deeply involved in mindfulness, meditation, and basically your perspective makes you whom you are. I mean, your perspective makes everybody who they are.
I was about to say.
You focus a lot on your perspective. So tell us a little bit about what you do.
What I do? Well, I got involved with mindfulness like about a year ago, and it really made a powerful impact on me in my life. So ever since, it's been my goal to like transform other people's thinking and kind of just like, show them what's up with mindfulness. Sometimes I talk and like I forget like what the question was. So then I'm just talking without direction at that point.
And you, I know you obviously are running the Mindful Club at North.
That's right, I am.
And what about future? We're seniors now in high school. You're going to college.
I know.
What do you want to study?
Crazy.
Do you want to study anything that has to do with mindfulness, meditation?
For sure.
Perspective, relativity, philosophy overall?
I'm very interested in philosophy. If you've hung out with me before, you know that I just like tend to like go towards that topic and whatnot. Me and Brady, we hang out. We have a lot of philosophical conversations with each other. But I think I definitely want to get involved with like something like with philosophy or neuroscience and psychology, because like those are two interesting topics to me. So yeah.
Cool, man. Where are you thinking about going to school?
Well, like I'm wearing a Penn State shirt right now.
Are you thinking about Penn State?
And no, I mean, yes, I'm considering Penn State, but really I don't know where I'm going. I haven't totally like checked out all my options. Yeah, I gotta figure that out soon though. It's like what? It's like November 1st. No, today's November 3rd. It's election day. Yes, sir. It's election day, and like I don't know, November 3rd's like relatively late to get started with college and whatnot.
All right, man. Cool. So how you feeling though? I mean, I'm definitely stressed, man. School has always been very unpredictable this year with COVID and everything, and college for next year. I mean, it's hard to make a decision, especially when you can't really see the schools, or you don't know what you're getting into. You're about to spend one of the biggest life investments to go to a school, get a great education.
Holy shit, yeah, tell me about it.
Like it might be completely virtual, and you're still gonna pay.
Like top dollar
of the amount. Yeah.
For half of the experience.
That stresses me. I mean, I want to go to school to be in film and business. Okay.
Yeah.
So business not as much, but film very hands on. If I'm virtual, I don't know, man. That spending anywhere between $25,000 to up to $65,000 for college is crazy.
It's crazy.
And to be virtual, I mean, how do you feel about that? I just gave you my opinion.
Well, I mean, I don't think it's necessarily fair that like colleges like let it be like that, and it's definitely like sucks as a student that it has to be like that.
Yeah, totally.
Especially when we're all just like so eager for the college, like university life that like.
Oh yeah, I'm so done. I want to get out,
But I college is like a business, so like they're like give me your money.
They're always gonna be like give me your money.
Yeah.
There's no changing the fact that they're always gonna be like give me your money. I guess I don't know. You kind of just need to have an open mind to it, and people are gonna see it in a completely different way. Overall with health issues and COVID, I mean, I don't know, we're young, so it's not like anything's really affecting us that much.
Right.
I mean, there's definitely family who's being affected. That
Well, people have, like high risk people in their
yeah.
family and whatnot.
So, I mean, you can either get like, I don't know, you can get upset and down about that. You can just not really function anymore. You can hibernate away from society. But I mean, most people are functioning normally. How are you functioning?
Well, I'm functioning just fine. My attitude is to always like work with what you have, um, and really just like go with things rather than against things. So I'm just trying to make the best of COVID. Really,
It's really a paradox.
it is quite a paradox, and there's many perspectives to be had on
Oh no, there
COVID.
definitely are many perspectives to be
COVID,
had.
like any other controversial topic, it just like brings out all these perspectives and like
Yeah, I mean, well, that kind of brings us into
today's
which
topic,
is perspective and
perspective and
relativity,
relativity.
or perspectivism and relativism, and the paradox of perspectivism. I'm pulling up an article here
The
right
reason
now.
the reason why I was like interested to talk about that is because in my teenage years, like more than years before, perspective and relativism has been so like prevalent in my life. Really, like,
Yeah,
can you
yeah.
do you
Well,
feel that?
it's because it's the adolescence period, and it's the coming to age period where everything is so wishy washy. I mean, it's election day, so I guess the easiest way to put it down is in honestly a political stance without getting too political right now
Without
on the
getting,
show. It's
we won't get too political on the
it's
show.
it's more that you wake up, you go to bed one night, oh my god, let's just talk about gun rights. Guns are bad, they kill people, whatever. The next morning you wake up, you hear an article on the TV, you see this, guns don't kill people, people kill people.
There's
Like,
two
this is okay.
perspectives to
There's
be
always
had.
going to be two
There's always going to
perspectives
be
there.
two perspectives.
But during the adolescence period, perspectivism is very important
Because there's so many
we
perspectives
change
circulating
and
as
alter
it.
every day, and I think that also
Yeah.
starts to tie into the philosophy. And I'm probably sound very out of place here because a senior in high school, I have no education or credentials to be talking about this, but I think that starts to tie into the fact why teenagers are so cranky. I want to say why we fluctuate so much with friend groups, why we
For real.
so it isn't that more than anything. I think that's just because we're developing our own perspective.
Well, yeah, as like someone our age, like not speaking for everyone, but like we still don't totally like know our own perspective, so we're like pretty subject to other people's perspective sometimes, you know? But like
Yeah.
something something like I've really like learned this year is that perspective is relative and there's no need to like if someone has a different perspective than you shouldn't feel bad about your own perspective
Well, you
because
see,
it's relative. So who are they to really like tell you your perspective is wrong or make you feel
exactly,
bad about
exactly.
your perspective? So yeah,
I mean, I think you really need to get into the fact that the definitions of perspective and relativism are they're opinionated. Now,
opinionated. So
they
yeah.
their actual definitions are fact to a point, but depending on honestly what you're
There
oh
goes
well
the ring.
what you're talking about, I think it really depends on their definitions fluctuate. If we're talking about psychology, philosophy, um, any form of physics, all of these are going to have three different definitions of perspective.
Right.
So, it if this comes back to the fact that perspectivism and relativism is is kind of all you personally have.
Is all you really have. So like
It's your
everybody.
it's your muse to the world. So
So yeah.
how do you take that? What's your definition? What's your motif towards perspective and relativism?
Well, about that, it's
Well, I
like
grab my ring.
yeah. So really, like we all
I have no idea where that went.
we all live on planet Earth. More specifically, you and I live in the United States. More specifically,
we
live
live in
in
a bubble in Bucks County.
a bubble in Bucks County. But really, like, aside from like all these shared things, people live in like their own worlds through their own heads, through perspective.
Oh,
Perspective,
100%.
because our reality, while like some material aspects may be like consistent, like experience to experience, like individuals, what that means to them is completely relative, and what is the meaning of everything around them is also like perspective, which could be like I said earlier, completely different.
Yeah. Um. So
It brings me
how
back
do
to
we-
what I was saying. Like, people really shouldn't trip about other people's perspective because it's relative and completely like subject to them, really.
Yeah. I mean, that makes complete sense. I think we should go back to. I actually kind of forgot about this for a second. This article, "The Paradox of Perspectivism." It's a Brown University document, which basically overall it kind of just it it wraps up perspectivism in a simplistic way.
Could you give us a quick little summary?
Perspectivism is the view that any claim to knowledge is bound to the perspective formed by the conjugate interest of the knower. Nearly
Wow,
all
that's
existing
that's a sentence.
interpretations fall within one of two categories. On the one hand, the relativity to perspective is thought to underwrite a generalized skepticism. That makes a lot of sense.
That makes a
And
lot of
that's
sense.
very powerful. And in that statement right there, that statement is kind of in essence the key to world peace.
The world peace. Yeah. That's an interesting like subject. World peace is largely related to perspective and relativism.
Oh, of course it is.
And if perspective didn't really like dictate so much, would world peace be totally achievable? Like 100%.
Oh, I mean, I wouldn't say 100% because there's always going to be a third party variable that we have no idea what it's going to be. But we're much closer.
Much closer. But perspective drives conflict.
Perspective does drive conflict, but it also
Perspec-
drives passion.
Perspective drives passion. Perspective drives our human experience.
Of course it drives our human experience. Why? Because it is the essence of our human
It
experience.
is the essence of
It's
our
all
human
we own.
experience.
It's all we can control.
It's all we, yeah.
So, no matter what, our relativism is gonna basically it's gonna formulate our perspectivism. If we, I mean, the biggest form of relativity is cultural and ethical relativity. And when we talk
Do you have
about,
something for that?
I might.
I think.
Oh, I do. Ethical.
How
Yeah,
about
an
that?
article right
Wow,
here.
man does his homework.
Ethical. Okay, so we'll get into this in a second, but overall, this is kind of just a study as you travel the globe. Your perspective is going to be forced to change because you're now in a completely different culture. And now as the white Americans, the movie cultures, every culture kind of they make complete fun of us. Thank you. They make complete fun of us as we're the ignorant
Americans,
buffoons in a way, who just kind of show up and are like, what are you doing? Your culture is it's not right. It doesn't make sense. You guys seem like you're behind, and we try to change it, or we try to like adapt them. It's this whole idea of imperialism, but it doesn't even have to be an imperialistic fleet.
Totally.
It doesn't even have to be an imperialistic fleet of a country. It can just be that one buffoon on his vacation making fun of the cultural difference because he's so ignorant and cannot understand his perspective.
So ignorance. So okay, your how do I say? Your ability to operate efficiently in this world really comes down to like an ability to like see through another person's perspective. which is like a thing a
It's
lot of people.
empathy. It's just empathy.
Empathy. A lot of people don't really look through another person's perspective, which is why like a lot of negative things are prevalent in our world, like racism and whatnot. Racism, like in essence, is like perspective. You know.
No, it is perspective. It is perspective, but it's it's a perspective that it's a perspective that people lack to understand, and it creates a lack of empathy. And as you were talking about in
Lack of empathy
empathy,
is
as you were talking
super
about
prevalent
as
in our world.
our Council Rock class senior seminar. I don't know if you guys did this in your class, but in my class we were talking about the difference between empathy and sympathy.
Yeah, I remember that.
So
Shout out Miss Abbott, shout out Miss Smith.
yeah, so
Y'all are great.
you really need to start in diving into the fact that these are two completely different topics. And Americans don't have empathy; they have sympathy,
Which isn't
is
so perspective.
Sympathy is
Perspective.
sympathy is if someone's in trouble, it's you're looking down at them. Damn, well at least it isn't this bad. At least you need help. Nah, man, I'm good up here. I really can't help you that much, but like, and that is the American way.
Mm-hmm.
That we look at other countries and we before anything we judge them and see what they're doing wrong, and that's how they got into this place, and then we blame them when we really just need to have empathy.
Empathy.
That all comes back to ethical relativism.
Well, there's something I want to elaborate on.
Please do.
Here, we don't have to worry about that.
Okay, just leave in the middle.
There's something I want to elaborate on is like this. We talked about this in sociology. Shout out Mr. Heim, and it's cultural relativism, but it's how it connects to like ethnocentric. I'm gonna shank this pronunciation. Ethnocentrism. Why can't I
ethnocentricism, right?
Ethnocentricism. Anyway, you know what I'm talking about, or maybe you don't if you haven't taken a class like that. Anyways, that's perspective driven, and think about how many like ethnocentrism. Yes, that is what we're talking about.
So here, for those of you who don't know, according to just the GoogleDictionary.com or whatever, it's the evaluation of other cultures according
to your own perspective.
Yes. To your
so
own
what I was about to
and your own culture.
And your own culture, which like is largely your perspective too.
Yes.
Your conditioned
it's dictated by it, because as we just learned about ethical relativism, it dictates your perspective,
right?
Which then gets into ethnocentrism.
Exactly. So these all these white imperialists are going to these like third world nations like Africa and whatnot, and they're just colonizing there because they believe their perspective is better than these like perceived uncivilized people like just practicing their culture, but it's relative perspective, not their relative. Better
Extremely,
or worse.
Yes. So I wanted to share a video clip with you in a minute that we actually were watching in psychology the other day. Basically, it's a political clip talking about a riot in New York, because we're talking about imperialism right now. Imperialism it's definitely still relevant in the 21st century, but it was more, 19th and 20th century.
Oh,
There's
for
definitely
sure.
still some imperialism today,
Yeah.
not to the same extent. If we bring it back more to our current issues, and with political issues, we have Black Lives Matter riots, we have
which is
pride
a
protests
perspective.
everywhere.
It's all perspective. That's a conflict in perspective. So that connects back to earlier. Perspective drives conflict.
So we watched this video on basically. It was a bunch of protesters, and it was a short video. It's not like you could actually see the whole perspective of the situation, because the video was probably a full 7 seconds.
Okay.
Where you have a bunch of protesters in the street, you have NYPD on the side of the street. They're trying to get through, maybe they're just reprimanding the protesters. I'm sorry. We can't tell. but then all of a sudden, the police cars drive through the crowd of people, and it's shocking to watch.
Wow.
Now,
That's horrible.
nobody's killed. Nobody's killed or anything. People are hurt. Now, literally, it was an interview done. I don't know who did it. For some reason, I feel like it was a Vice thing because it just seems like something Vice would do. But anyways, they interviewed a good sample of Americans, probably around 15, who were split, Republican and Democrat, and the only thing they could actually agree on was that we're split politically more than ever in our country.
Oh,
our
for sure.
Perspectives are so far
Perspectives
apart.
are so far.
Now, literally, they argued. Now, basically, how anybody could see the other perspective is so wrong because all the Republicans believed that that all the Republicans believed that the protesters were wrong. They were enticing the police, and the police had to do what they had to do. Of course, the liberals believed the complete opposite of that.
Like naturally.
So, but it's so crazy. Now, the truth is somewhere in the middle. Both of them are completely wrong.
The truth is always in the
their
middle.
Perspectives are so flamboyant.
At this rate. So the thing about your perspective is that your perspective is bias, and bias gets flamboyant.
Yeah.
So really, I think the takeaway here, as our camera dies and whatnot.
I think we have a bit more time.
Oh well, regardless, the takeaway is that you should always try to find the medium. Like today is November 3rd. It's an election day. Like I see like a lot of people being driven away. Like people on Snapchat saying like, if this is your perspective, like unadd me. So I think like really a good way to go about things is finding that medium perspective, that middle view, and like
I agree.
Coexisting.
Well, isn't that all part of the human experience? It's compromise to each other's perspectives.
Not if we can evolve beyond our perspectives.
Well, and then this starts getting into what Elon Musk has been talking about now for probably a year and a half.
What is it? I'm not familiar with it.
His neuroscience project.
Which is what?
Basically, Elon Musk tries to make a very open argument that cyborgs, and that no matter what, we're gonna be cyborgs. Why? Because you're addicted to this little guy.
Holy shit!
You can't
Yeah.
get rid of this thing. You will never get rid of this thing.
For real.
It's so important to you, and if you get rid of it, then you kind of aren't even human anymore at this rate. Because you have no connection with anybody.
Yeah.
Even if you break the perspective that you need this thing on you, the relativity of the rest of the world will never believe that. So if you want to evolve past perspectives, then we move to this cyborg side, which remember, people are afraid of being a cyborg. We just kind of proved you're already a cyborg. But, they're still going to be afraid. Well, Elon Musk talks about this reversible surgery where you can actually just put this little magnetic chip in your brain. You would cut a little hole in your skull, and it would make your brain evolve so much faster. And then if we can get everyone doing this,
that's
evolution
awesome.
Goes faster.
That's
we're
awesome.
Going to save the planet that way because we're going to think more clearer.
We're going to think rational, evolved.
Yes.
Like almost like Greek philosophers.
Here's the side effects. There's a lot of side effects. Now, not the mental side effects, the societal side effects. Religion, as we know it, is probably gone. There's no way that
religion is perspective.
Because religion is perspective. We get rid of perspective that way, it's gone. All right.
So the thing is, perspective creates stability. When you lose your perspective, when it's dragged out from underneath, like a cup and like a rag, like a magician. Holy shit, dude! Perspective will destroy your. Lack of your perspective will destroy your life.
Yes, of course. Everyone needs to have their own perspective.
So, is it possible to exist in a perspectiveless world? No, because I guess our reality is perspective.
It kind of is. It kind of is.
I guess we'll never know because we'll always be ruled by our perspective.
Think of a totalitarian society.
Okay.
No matter what, their perspectives are, the government is trying to control their perspectives. Now, they can still make their own perspectives, but their perspectives don't rule their life. The government perspectives that have been created for them control their life.
Essentially, yeah.
So, that ends up going into a sense that if we become cyborgs, get rid of perspective entirely, are we enslaved totalitarian style to ourself?
Oh man, that's a really good
Just
question.
think about it.
I guess I
Are we enslaved to ourself? Is our body now in more control of us than we physically are of?
so I guess this comes down to a question whether you see it as, is perspective a new age thing or is it like an old age thing? Is your
Can
perspective
it be
keeping
both
you?
though?
Can it be both? I don't know. I'm not sure what's like what's farther along in like in terms of evolution.
I think it can be
Because if
both.
perspective is keeping us from like, I guess like this theoretical like high like state of high being or something,
Uh huh.
then like perspective is like I guess I don't know. Shit, dude.
Here's this video.
All these topics are gonna make my brain.
So yeah, we have a lot of. Obviously, we're gonna have to continue this because we're running low on time here. This is after George Floyd, obviously. This is NBC reporting. So New York City police vehicles filmed driving into crowd of protesters.
Holy.
That obviously looks awful right there.
Oh my gosh.
I don't
Wait,
think
were they
this
going
is-
fast? I can't.
No, you'll see. They weren't going that fast. Ah, this
Holy
ad.
shit. Imagine if they just like plowed through them.
Imagine. Here, we'll mute it for a second.
Quickly took a dramatic turn by night. There were reports of demonstrations happening all over the city, but the bulk of the activity was here in Brooklyn,
God damn.
as well as Manhattan. Here at the Barclays Center at one point overnight, there was a tense confrontation between police as well as protesters, but these protesters were on the move, at one point shutting down the Manhattan Bridge. And there was also some disturbing images of dumpsters, trash cans, and police vehicles going up in flames.
Sheesh.
Also storefronts being
It's like something from a
smashed
movie,
I
wouldn't you
know.
say?
taking place as well. A video has also surfaced showing two NYPD vehicles pushing into a crowd of demonstrators, and officials are saying that those vehicles were being struck by
Demonstrators.
bombs.
Demonstrate.
That's violating your amendment.
How?
We have the right to gather peacefully.
Yeah.
Was that a peaceful gathering?
Well, that's the thing, we don't know. That's what we were talking about earlier, and how it's really your perspective, that the video is not showing us if it was a peaceful gathering or not. It was way too far away.
So Brady, I noticed this is from which news station?
This is from
NBC.
Yes.
Which has a
It's-
like a more liberal bias, right?
It has a liberal affiliation. So that video that we just saw, I mean, it was your first time seeing it, correct?
Yeah, it was my
And
first time seeing it.
Your initial reaction there, not sure if you guys were able to hear it, but was basically
I thought it looked peaceful.
It looked peaceful.
Yeah, that was my
But
take.
now remember what we were talking about earlier, that
Right.
most Democrats are going to believe that this
It was a peaceful
peaceful protest
because of
and
their
that
bias. Yeah.
the police officers were attacking them. When we talk about the conservatives, we're going to be complete opposite. Now,
Yeah.
if we watch this same clip through Fox News or something else that has a conservative affiliation, will it be the exact same clip? Will the protesters look a little more
Just
aggressive?
be perceived as a little more aggressive.
Now,
I totally think so. That's my guess.
I don't think we have time today to do that.
I don't think we
and
have time,
I
but-
actually am not seeing
Yeah.
a video that Fox made. So
The
might
takeaway
not
from
be
that
one.
though, the takeaway from that
yeah, let's
is-
conclude.
the takeaway is that this comes back to finding the medium, but really is like, don't with politics, don't let your perspective get manipulated. Number one.
Well, it's not even just politics. I mean, in the age of 2020, when the world is literally, everyone feels like it's falling apart. When I mean, it's bad, but it's not that bad. People are very, very concerned right now about the election, because the election's about what is supposedly supposed to change everything. It's not going to change anything. But overall, I think people are getting consumed by
Their
the
perspective.
political perspective.
Yeah.
So to actually bring back that wellness that we're missing, and to actually go back to earlier when we first started this out, you were talking about your wellness and your meditation that you do, and
Right.
meditation club, and basically everything else. Your exercise, your overall health that you focus on to help your perspective.
Help my perspective.
I think that's what a lot of Americans, and not just Americans, people everywhere, but Americans right now with the election and everything, need to get back to. They need to break away from the political perspective that they're so focused on right now. Fix their lively perspective.
I think everybody could definitely use some of that. But people just need more awareness of like these kind of topics, you know? Like
Yeah.
Understanding like perspective and relativism is important because you don't want to let yourself be oppressed like by someone else's perspective. Like
Oh, and I think that happens all the
LGBTQ.
time. I think that
Like
happens
if
all
you're
the time.
LGBTQ and someone suppresses you because of your
Hang
difference
on.
in perspective.
I think this is like pretty standard as it is already. That most LGBTQ people and those individuals in that community already agree with this. But if there's a conservative, because it's usually a conservative, if there's someone who's giving you
Well, that's gonna be bleached.
serious trouble though, like, just don't care, man. Like, as long as they're not physically harassing you or emotionally harassing you, like, they're ignorant.
They're ignorant.
Let them let it be.
So, I guess my call to action, right?
Ooh, call to action. Mason's call to action. Pop it up.
My call to action to the audience is to, in your day-to-day life, try to find the medium. You know,
Try to find the medium.
try to
I
find
like
the
that.
medium. Try to compromise perspectives. Try to see through someone else's perspective. Cultivate more empathy for sure, and stick by your perspective and do you, and love yourself.
I think that was a great wrap up. I like the little kiss to the camera. Yeah. So I think we'll end this segment here, part 1 of perspective and relativism. We will begin with a part 2 very soon. You'll be able to see this up on YouTube, probably Spotify as well. And parts of the segment will be on CRN News. Check it out. Mason, thanks for joining us today. See you next
It's been
time.
real, man.
It's been real.
I always enjoy talking to you about
these
our
are great
stuff.
conversations. And I know we have a lot more on the agenda to talk about. At least
So many topics.
15 more
So many
podcasts that we
topics.
want to get out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's end it there. Peace.